You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday, 8th day of August, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. So that's reserved for our traders and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us at the top of the hour, he'll walk you through the process step by step. If you get your request in for the free trial today, we'll get your indicators up and indicating today. You'll have the weekend to kind of get familiar with them. And then your trial will officially start Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern when the Globex markets open. That's when we go to work. And it'll run all the way through next Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern when the futures market closes for the week. There's no credit card required. We want you focused on what's being taught so that at the end of the trial you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision whether or not trading is right for you. When the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, take a 30-minute break and then come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, go here to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In that email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you'll have access to the question box so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But you don't have to remember all that, just youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can actually see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it is a great resource to have at your fingertips, and it lets you know we've been around a minute. youtube.com/CFRN. This is the schedule for each afternoon broadcast. Michael will join us about 1 o'clock Eastern for a recap of what happened this morning in the live trading room, and then a little live trading on the TradingView platform. But for now, we'll dive into our daily devotional, which is where we start each and every day on the afternoon broadcast. The topic of the devotion that we've been in all week: chasing carrots, the endless pursuit of more. We've talked about the pursuit of fame, the pursuit of approval, the pursuit of perfection. Today we're going to talk about the pursuit of achievement. Our scripture is 1 Kings chapter 10, verses 1 through 8, and I'm going to share it from the NIV translation. When the Queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon and his relationship to the Lord, she came to test Solomon with hard questions. Arriving at Jerusalem with a very great caravan, with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold and precious stones, she came to Solomon and talked with him about all that she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. When the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, his cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told to me. In wisdom and wealth you have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be. How happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom." That's a great story, but if you read all the way through, things didn't end up so well for Solomon. When it comes to biblical kings, no one achieved quite as much as Solomon. Israel flourished under his reign. He oversaw the construction of God's temple. He built himself a royal palace. Rulers would travel long distances to see his wealth, bringing with them gifts of gold and jewels. He could answer any question posed to him. He had his choice of women. He had been blessed with every good thing one might wish for in a lifetime. If anyone should have been happy with what they had achieved in life, it should have been Solomon. But in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon painted a different picture. He literally says, "I hated all the things I toiled for under the sun. He explains, because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. Solomon figured something out. We can't take it with us in the next life. Our promotions, houses, awards, cars, and vacations, they all stay behind. You've never seen a U-Haul following a hearse. So, what actually matters in life? Solomon found an answer for that question. At the end of Ecclesiastes, he sums it up. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. At first glance, this might not seem like the most inspirational thing ever, but take another look. Solomon says that these are the things we should seek to achieve in life. Fearing God, which means loving him, respecting him, and doing what he asks. We're used to the world saying, run, don't stop. See these expensive things? See these accolades? Thousands of other people want them, but don't let that stop you. Fight for them. Go. What else are you doing with your life? Life is a competition, and only the best will succeed. But God's word says this: love God and do good. Think about how accessible this is to everyone. No matter whether you're single or married, rich or poor, young or old, healthy or sick. Just do this. Love God and do good. We can all do that, right? Why do we struggle? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we know that you are the source of all wisdom and every good gift. Just as you blessed Solomon with understanding and favor, fill us with discernment to live in a way that honors you. May others see your goodness in our lives and give glory to your name. Let our words and actions reflect the wisdom and grace that comes from walking with you. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen and happy Friday. Everybody's been working for the weekend, and here it is. Got plans? Hope to see you in church on Sunday. I'll be there Saturday too. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently, the Dow is up 213 points. NASDAQ is up 181, almost 1%. S&P 500 is up 46. The Russell 2000 is up 4. In the commodity basket, crude oil is up 36 cents, trading 64.24 last. Gold up $38.50, trading 34.9220 last. That's a gain of well over 1%, and a new all-time high for gold futures. Silver up 25 cents, trading 38.54 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 761 points, almost 2%. The Shanghai dropped 4.5%. The Hang Seng fell 222 points, almost 1%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 5, the DAX up less than a point, so basically unchanged on the session, and the CAC up 33. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a mixed day for the UK, but at the moment, it is a green radio Friday here in the US of A. Let's take a look at the global news. Israel intends to take military control over the entire Gaza Strip. Let that sink in. This was announced yesterday during an interview with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu said Israel aims to eliminate Hamas and secure the area, but has no plans to permanently govern there. The country will instead seek to transfer authority to Arab forces. Netanyahu did not share further details of the plan. The statement comes amid stalled ceasefire talks with Hamas and international criticism over the humanitarian situation in Gaza. It also comes amid internal Israeli disagreement, including concerns from officials and families of hostages held by Hamas. At least 20 of the estimated 50 remaining hostages are thought to be still alive. Israel controls about 75% of Gaza, where roughly 2 million Palestinians have been displaced, and at least 500,000 face famine-like conditions. Canada and the UK have vowed to recognize Palestinian statehood in September if the war does not end, while France has pledged recognition unconditionally. Good luck with that, guys. Apparently you've not read the good book. So what's in your diet? Ultra-processed foods make up the majority of Americans' caloric intake, actually 55%. This is according to a study released yesterday by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. While the agency has surveyed Americans' nutrition since the 1960s, the latest report is the first to analyze ultra-processed food consumption. The term ultra-processed foods was coined in 2009 and has been linked to a variety of health problems, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. There's no universally accepted definition. The report uses a Brazilian framework describing ultra-processed as industrial creations with few, if any, whole foods. The report found sandwiches, including burgers, hot dogs, and peanut butter and jelly, are America's top source, followed by baked goods, salty snacks, and sugary drinks. Kids and people from lower income brackets consume especially high levels of ultra-processed foods, though rates have declined slightly over the past decade. Well, pretty soon, you're not going to be able to buy that with food stamps or what's now called SNAP. Government's putting their foot down. If you need help feeding your family, America stands ready to help you feed your family, but only with foods that are good for you, not the stuff that leads to type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and a litany of other. And of course, I know there's food deserts, and sometimes people in lower economic brackets have a hard time getting to the grocery store. I mean, you got to take the bus there, and then you got to take the bus home, and you've only got 2 arms, you can only carry so many groceries. There's ways. Okay. Now, my wife is part of a food distribution network, and every Wednesday, I think she only goes every other Wednesday, but she comes home with a carload. I mean, bulging at the seams with every kind of food imaginable. But tipping the scale is the sugary treats, the salty snacks. It's unbelievable. Now, she's got a network of people that she distributes the food to, and then they have networks that they distribute the food to, so that the food actually gets to the people who are truly hungry. But I just hope we see the quality of that food change. She works very hard to help families in need of food have food on their table. But she can only distribute what's given to her. She's done this for probably 20 years. Gold futures in New York hit intraday record highs today amid reports that imports of Swiss gold bars would not be exempt from tariffs. The precious metal hit $4,490 per ounce on the COMEX exchange in New York after the Financial Times reported that 1 kilogram and 100-ounce bars of gold are indeed subject to 39% reciprocal tariffs on Switzerland. They had plenty of time to fix this. They chose not to. The move is significant because 1 kilo and 100-ounce gold bars form the backbone of much of the gold trading activity in the United States. Contracts on the COMEX with physical delivery requirements are based in large part on Swiss bars, noting the introduction of tariffs will likely inject additional uncertainty into that market. And gold futures are up. December gold up $40.70 today, almost 1.25%. Everybody knew this day was coming. Now everybody looks shocked and surprised. Apple on Wednesday announced it is increasing its U.S. investment commitments over the next 4 years to $600 billion, tacking $100 billion onto the original $500 billion the company said it would invest back in February. The tech giant revealed its latest spending plan during a press briefing in the Oval Office alongside President Trump, during which CEO Tim Cook presented the president with a glass plaque complete with a gold base, all made in the U.S. The move comes after Trump threatened to place a 25% tariff on Apple's iPhones made overseas, and in the face of a potential 100% tariff on semiconductors. But during the event, Trump said Apple, as well as other companies that invest in the U.S., would be exempt from that 100% tariff. The White House also said Wednesday that Apple would largely escape Trump's planned 50% tariff on U.S.-bound Indian exports. Apple began building the vast majority of iPhones destined for the U.S. and India after Trump revealed his plans to place tariffs as high as 145% on Chinese goods. A decision that angered the president. But $600 billion seems to have wiped away all those fears. During the press conference Wednesday, Trump largely brushed aside a reporter's question about whether iPhones will be made in the U.S. saying that Apple isn't making the investments that it's making in the U.S. anywhere else. He later added that the administration may eventually incentivize the company to build in America. China has defended its purchase of Russian oil, saying its imports are justified. This follows President Trump's threat to punish China with higher tariffs due to its Russian oil buys. It is legitimate and lawful for China to conduct normal economic trade and energy cooperation with all countries around the world, including Russia, according to the Chinese Foreign Ministry. That was in a statement this morning in the Bloomberg News. The U.S. and China face an August 12th deadline to extend a pause on sky-high tariffs levied earlier this year. Trump has ratcheted up trade tensions with India, an emerging ally of Russia, signing an executive order imposing an additional 25% tariff on India over its purchases of Russian oil. All coming to pass. And guess what? It's making America wealthy again. Yeah, I know the panicans are out there. They've kind of been wrong so far. Yesterday, we talked about President Trump's call for Intel CEO to resign over his very cozy relationships with China. His name says it all. Lip-Bu Tan. In a letter to staff, he said the company was engaging with the Trump administration, that there's a lot of misinformation circulating about my past roles. I want to be absolutely clear. Over 40 plus years in the industry, I've built relationships around the world and across our diverse ecosystem, and I have always operated with the highest legal and ethical standards, Tan wrote. Well, yesterday, I shared with you the post from Truth Social that Trump wrote. The CEO of Intel is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. There's no other solution to this problem, he continued. Thank you for your attention to this problem. Well, we'll see what happens. Intel's down like a dime, trading $19.67 a share. Last, ever heard of the trade desk? Trades under the symbol TTD. Shares plunged today after the provider of software to help businesses run ad campaigns warned that new U.S. tariffs are putting a crimp on advertising spending. Interesting. American Eagle's jeans, they found money to advertise. Maybe you just have to be a little more creative. The company also announced a CFO change. The stock was down nearly 40%, around $54 in recent trading, erasing all of its recent gains on its addition to the S&P 500 last month. It's lost more than half of its value since the year started. This might be the shortest-lived company in the S&P 500 in history. CEO Jeff Green said in a call with analysts that some of the large companies that use its services are facing pressure from tariffs. The impact of tariffs and related policies on these businesses are very real. He's freaking out. And if you look at the chart, wow. It's not pretty. Let's look at something pretty. It's not great, but it's pretty. Logic 247 is our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, but also crude, gold, silver. We're in week 366. over the last 366 weeks, we've issued over 20,250 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. This week, because the market was flat for a couple days, we didn't have quite as many alerts as we had last week, 51 to be exact. Of the 50, Valerie did the recap this morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. She'll finalize it this afternoon or early evening, at the latest tomorrow morning, and she'll post it in Telegram, as she does. But at the time she did the recap, 51 alerts this week since the markets opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. 5 never triggered. Still waiting on the outcome of 21. That gives us just 25 actionable alerts, of which 4 or 16% would have been stopped out. Again, based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Last week, we ended up with just 2 stopped out, 4%. I think we had over 70 alerts issued last week. And then the previous week, we had 8% stopped out. So this is our first week back into the double digits in quite a while. When we hit 20,000 alerts, we took a hiatus for a couple weeks, but then we came back, and I mean, this is still a great week. 16%. Nothing to sneeze at. Every logic alert has an entry price, an initial target, in most cases additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The purpose of the alerts is to teach you how to read a chart, because the alerts are published well ahead of them actually trading. In fact, we took a look in depth at one of the alerts last night during the members only workshop, and that trade ultimately had 300 points. It was a Dow trade, had 300 points of profit in it. But again, the real purpose of the alerts is so that you understand how to read a chart. If you bring up an alert and bring up a chart, draw a horizontal line at the entry price, a horizontal line at the initial target, which is designed to help you get your goal for the day, and then draw horizontal lines at the additional targets, and then the final trade to target will always be the weekly trading zone above on a long and the weekly trading zone below on a short. If you want to trade for a living, you got to learn how to read the charts. Once you learn how to read the chart, then you can learn how to trade. And once you learn those two things, nobody can ever take that away from you. Pretty powerful. Sure beats depending on somebody else to spoon feed your trades, right? You look at a chart, you see where the opportunity is, you wait for price to get there, and you take advantage of it. It's pretty simple. Now, long before we rolled out Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. They're different. As you can see, there's no entry price, no initial target. This is a bigger picture look. Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Their day session is their night session, and vice versa. The CTAs are typically posted as a static report 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening. Wednesday we did it. Tuesday we did it. Monday, 9 minutes before the Open. And Sunday, 5 minutes before the Open. I had to attend this thing yesterday, so that's why last night they didn't get put out until 7:14. But on days when I know that I'm not going to be able to get them out 5 minutes ahead of the Open, I put a note in the Telegram discussion group so that nobody's sitting waiting on something that's not coming out. Or they're banging their computer going, my computer's broke. The CTAs aren't out. All of our traders and trial members had all of these targets last night at 7:14 p.m. Eastern. Typically it's 5:55 p.m. Eastern. But again, I was running late last night. Life happens. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Now, if you're already a member, a passport holder, make sure you read this information up here. It's very important. Kind of explains the whole process. If there's something you don't understand, ask. We'll be happy to explain it to you. Okay. So let's go look at the charts. Start with the daily chart of the S&P. Man, this thing is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The second you take your hands off of it, it pops back up. Now we had a huge run up. Let's see, today's the 8th. It's the 7th. We closed back at red and falling. Now the high yesterday, 64.2675. Now I had said the previous 2 days that I expected if we moved up, if we spiked red and falling. Right here where blue turned to red at 64.20. I expected potential resistance right there. Okay. And we spiked it by 6 3/4 points. And then quickly reversed and closed back down here. So now today we're trying to take out, what's the high so far today? 64.16. Yesterday's high. So we're about 10 points. The high of today is about 10 points away from the high of yesterday. It's Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and this was last Thursday and Friday. Now, leg, retrace. The natural thing to happen is another leg to the downside. This time, price may be bucking the trend. We're in earnings season. Earnings have been pretty good despite all this pearl clutching over tariffs. Usually we see something a little cleaner, like back on February 21st, when price closed below the BBC. We had a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. As you can see, the pullback holds more often than not. But eventually price will trade through the BBC, like it did here, February 21st, and then in the opposite direction on April 24th. So now we're, notice, red and falling is turned to blue and climbing. So we get a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. A leg and a retracement. This time, price didn't continue lower. found support at the 50% fib extension, which was created by connecting this low to this high to this retracement low. This is the all-time historic high right here. 64.68 put in on July 31st, last Thursday. But when we put in that new all-time historic high, look how the day ended. That was Thursday, and this was last Friday. We now seem to be headed in the opposite direction. As we approach the high yesterday, be very, very careful, okay? Because that reeks of resistance. Once earnings seasons are over, things should clear up, I would think. Now the green line, it's called the BBC. It just stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish, expecting lower prices. When price closes above the green line, we're bullish, expecting higher prices. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. And as I pointed out, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't, whether it's pulling up from below or pulling down from above. Now, the really important area, I think, is right here at the 24. This is the shallowest possible fib retracement that the market could make right now. But in order to get there, it's got a lot of work cut out for it. We got support times 3. Well, right now, support times 2. The step line, the black step line, and red and falling. Okay. Price is above both of them. If price were to sell off, those would both be potential support. Then right below that, actually where the daily BBC is, it's lined up with the 62% fib extension. Then we would have to take out this low. Then we'd have to deal with this low, put in Friday, and then this was the open Sunday night right here. And then you've got the 38% fib extension and the 24. But in order for this market to stay healthy, it needs a deep retracement. Just like this down move, okay, it needed a deep retracement in order to keep going. In an uptrend, there is one difference. It takes financial commitment for price to rise. For price to fall, all it takes is for the institutional traders, the ones who actually move price, all they have to do is hit pause on the buy side, and price just naturally deteriorates. Now, all of the alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. The vertical line you see right here separates today, Friday. Here's Thursday. Here's Wednesday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. We've published the weekly trading zones for our members since December 14th, 2009, 15 and a half years. When price drops to a weekly zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a weekly zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price drops to a zone, support. And when price rallies up to a zone, again, resistance. So if we take out this high here at 64.16, and here's that high from yesterday at 26.75. This zone is 64.22/23. This zone is 63.41/42. The highest weekly zone is way up there at 6,600, so we're not going to see that this week. But depending on how the markets open Sunday night, it could be in the picture. But we really did have a quiet week. Things woke up a little bit yesterday. For a couple days, man, we were just flat and sideways. Once the weekly trading zones are published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, they are carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. This was the opening candle last night. We're above the BBC, so we get a leg and a retracement, and a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, and then right here off the Wall Street open this morning, we ripped right through the long target and the bearish cross. See the long target? It's based on the bearish cross. When the red line gets below the green line, that's called the bearish cross. And it leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. Now, a lot happens inside of a 30-minute candle, so it may have found some resistance the first time up this morning and then finally powered through. I wasn't watching it, so I can't speak to it. But I do want you to notice this. As price powered through, this high is this high. Okay? This high is this high. You see that? It's market structure. Now, right here, when price trades through a long target or trades through a short target, when it does its retracement, in this case, the top of the long target will typically become support, or quite often become support. Now, it did spike down and touch the BBC, and, well, the pullback held. Holds more often than not. So where's our next resistance? Right about here. See where blue turned to red? 64.16. What's our high today? Well, that can't be right, can it? So I guess 64.17. It's hard to get it right on the spot. Yeah, 64.17. And from there, we're up to the zone. Now, we spiked the zone yesterday. But notice the step line is starting to fade, the black step line. See how it's hooking to the right? Look at what happened yesterday after we put in that all-time historic high. The step line crossed, see, on the way up. Black step line and blue and climbing, they were parallel to each other. Then right here, that changed. The black step line went from the left side of blue and climbing to the right side. What does that tell us? That price is probably going to retrace to the BBC. And it did. Pullback held, we caught a bounce, but we bounced right into red and falling, which is potential resistance. Blue and climbing is bullish, red and falling is bearish. And look what it did. It took us all the way down to the zone below. So right here, it looks an awful lot like that right there, doesn't it? Now it hasn't quite made the cross, okay? But keep an eye on it. When it does, that just might signal the high of the day is in. Although we could retrace back to the BBC and still have time to catch a bounce. There's quite a few hours left in the day. The Dow, we opened right at the BBC and the weekly zone. We consolidated there for hours. And then it looked like we were going to take a drop, and then not so much. Then we got a leg and a retracement, and then we got a leg that took us all the way up to the long target, which was based off this bearish cross. We spiked it a little bit. Came back to the BBC and the zone. Now, these are the zones that were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Remember, when price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. When it drops to a zone, we expect support. The step line is crossing blue and climbing, so it's possible we've seen the high of the day on the Dow. It's a little early to make that call, but just a heads up. On the Russell, we opened here, made a run to the CTA long target, which is based off this bearish cross. Remember, when you have a bearish cross, red line gets below the green line and it leads to an extended move. And yesterday, where did we find resistance? At the zone. Where do we find support? At the zone. This bearish cross became this resistance right here. Happens over and over and over. Does it happen every time? There's very few things that happen every time in the world of trading. Does it happen more often than not? Well, yeah. You hear me talk about it here on the afternoon broadcast every trading day. We got a retracement. We got below the BBC, but we never really pulled away from it. Okay. We had this bullish cross, which we spiked just a little bit down to here. Now, again, in the creation of that 30-minute candle, it's very possible price came down and bounced up and came back down. You could find out by going and looking at a 1-minute chart, and it will show you exactly what happened. I'm just trying to give you the bigger picture. Then we consolidated at the BBC and made another run back to the long target, which again is based off that bearish cross. We tried to overcome that bearish cross, and we just never did. We spiked it. Keep in mind, like, this was a green candle all the way up. That was the 10 a.m. candle. This was a green candle all the way up, but by the time the 30-minute candle closed, we were back below the BBC. So then we got a leg and a retracement. The pullback held even though we spiked it and went right up to the long target. See, an important price, important area is almost always tested. And this is such a great example of that. I mean, how many times did we hit or attempt to trade through or trade it through, but then we got rejected? Now price is poised for a much larger move to the downside. We're below the BBC. We've got red and falling. That looks pretty good to me. 22.24 down to 22.21. 3 points. Simple and obvious. If we take out this low, then there should be there's nothing to get in the way of price dropping to the short target. The NQ. We opened here, ran right up to the zone and found resistance. So we consolidated. Only 3 things happen when price encounters a weekly zone. 70% of the time it's going to be consolidation. 20% of the time rejection, 10% of the time the slice. So on the NQ, we basically just consolidated and oscillated around the weekly zone till this morning at 9:30 when Wall Street opened, and bang, we made a run all the way up to the target, which was based right here off blue turning to red. See that? We powered through it. Again, a lot happened inside a 30-minute candle, so you can go look at a 1-minute chart and see if it just flew through it or if it had to fight to get through it. Either way, it got through it. This high here took out yesterday's high on the NQ. We put in a higher high, We have a little double top going on up there. Now, remember we traded through the long target, and on the pullback, where the market finds support? At the top of the long target. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. But look at the step line. It's trying to cross blue and climbing. That means we should anticipate, if it does, we should anticipate a retracement back to the BBC. Crude oil opened here last night below the BBC. And it took a few hours, but we dropped the short target and below. Buyers came in here. If you look left, you'll figure out why. Support will always send the market looking for resistance, which it found at the long target, which was based off this high right here. See. Resistance sends the market looking for support. The pullback held. When blue and climbing gets directly above price, that makes it potential resistance because it could be on its way to becoming red and falling, which is bearish. And at 10 a.m. Eastern this morning, not because of any particular news, it just happened. Price dropped all the way down 62.77. Go look left, find out why. From there, price bounced, but it didn't have enough oomph to get all the way back to the long target. So now we have a high, a lower high, a lower high, and a lower high. But we are above the BBC. When price is below the BBC, we expect lower prices. Once price gets back above the BBC, we expect higher prices. It's really pretty simple. And the pullback holds more often than not. Price pull back by the open of this candle, done for the day. Now, this red candle, you've got support times 3 right here. The BBC, the black step line, and red and falling. See, the black step line and red and falling are directly below price. And we know the pullback to the BBC holds more often than not. So, price may have difficulty getting below this area. We could waddle sideways into the close. Gold. This was wow last night. I wasn't here to see it. This was the opening candle. It opened at 34, we'll call it 88, and ran to 35.34. 34, let's call it 34.90 so I can do the math. 35.34. 40 points. That's $4,000 per contract traded. If you were in the move, which that's kind of a difficult move to. You might have taken advantage of it. Well, it was 7:14 when the CTAs actually came out. But we hit it. See, this was a 6 o'clock candle, 6:30. This was a 7 o'clock candle, so it was during the life of this candle that the CTAs were published. And on the very next candle, bang, we hit the target. Now that candle opened at 34.91.2. So just shy of 7 points. So that one 30-minute candle was worth $700 per contract traded. Again, the CTAs came out halfway through the life of this 30-minute candle. And then buying the open of the next candle took you right up to the target. And price just kept banging that target and banging that target. And where did it find support? At the weekly trading zone. The same spot we found resistance yesterday. And again, these are the zones that were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published Monday morning, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They do not change in any way whatsoever. We'll cover silver in a bit. As you can see, we haven't hit the long or short target. We just kind of been waddling sideways. But Michael's here. He's going to give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room, then do a little live trading on the TradingView platform. I'll come back. We'll talk about silver, and then I'll wrap things up for the day and the week with our third word for the day.
All right. Here we go. Bring it over here. There. You should be looking at my stuff right now.
Yep.
Shut that off.
Looks good.
All right. Excellent. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 8th day of August, 8/8/2025. If you have not taken a free trial lesson, you want to, and if you start it today, you get it over the weekend and then all of next week as well. All right. 8/8/2025. Click on the purple button right here. When you click on that, it will bring you to, let me just refresh this page just to make sure it brings me to the right one. Click on that, it's going to bring you to this registration page, all right? All that we ask for on this page is your name, your email, and your phone number. Name, email, phone number. Down here at the bottom gives you TradingView login ID. Okay, if we don't get the TradingView login ID, we don't know that you took the trial, so hit the register button. And then we'll get in there and get you what you need. Okay, we get your indicators indicating for you on your desktop. All right, we had a pretty good day today. We're still bringing the daily average on the year down every day, sadly. But we were going to bring it up for a little while there, but I didn't end great, we'll say. We ended great, but we were better. Anyway, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Ended with 185 ticks on the NQ. Now our high on the NQ was 219 ticks. We ended with 11 on the Russell, and our high on the Russell was 21. We ended with 21 on gold, and our high on gold was 36. And we ended with 1 on the ES, and our high on the ES was 8. So none of them were at the high of the day. But they're all pretty good. Let's see what it was when we had them all at the high. This was 219. This was, Russell was 21. The gold was 36, and the ES was 8. So at the high of the day, we're at $1,660. That is not how we ended. If I do Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, this is how we ended. $1,202.50. Fortunately, today it took 7 minutes and 3 trades to get to $2,700. That part of the average hourly rate. So, and we took a total of 29 trades this morning. So on the month now we're at $4,867. So for 6 trading days, now we're up above 800 again, which is where I want to be. At $811 per average per trading session. Okay. On the year, we're at $177,962 with 1 contract over 136 days, averaging $1,308 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Following 24/20 blueprint, we did bump this number up a little bit today because we were pretty well up above the $1,000 mark. It took us not too long, and we're up above the $1,000 mark. So the 24/20 blueprint means you add 1 contract for every $2,000 you make, which should be about 1 contract a month or more. But so if you just round it out to 1 contract a month, it's the 8th month, you'd be trading 8 contracts right now. So far this month, you've worked 60 minutes, traded 21 times, and you would be up. Is that right? 60 minutes? Yeah. 60 minutes. Yeah, we had some long days this month. You would have worked 60 minutes, so 1 hour, traded 21 times, and been up $9,820 with 8 contracts on. All right. Yeah, that is correct. No, that is not correct. Yeah, that is correct. I'm sorry, that is correct. Getting the goal for the day is what the total was. Yep. Actually, yeah, that's right. $9,820 is what it would be. Anyway, that's all that stuff. All right, so let's get into the trades that we actually took. The NQ is where we had the majority of the trades. The other ones were pretty evenly dispersed. We had some really nice trading today, guys. We've been looking for it all week, and it finally happened. Let's get all the way to the beginning. Here we are. All right, so on the gold, it looks like we didn't trade gold for a little while into the morning session. We really didn't. So all the way over here on gold, we finally picked up one tick right there. Then we had a break even. Then we picked up 5 to get us to 6, then 15 to get us to 21, then 15 to get us to 36. All right, yeah, 15 to get us to 36. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is another 15 to get us to 36. And then we stopped out minus 15, put us back down to 21. That is where we stopped trading the gold. Now, looking at this, it looks like wow. This was the only trade right here. And it looks like that probably would have stopped you out to the tick. That was it. Not a lot of trades there during the break on the gold. Not a lot happened during the gold. Okay, on the Russell. Now, slide that all the way back. Here we go. On the Russell, we started out with a break even. Then we got 11 ticks on this. Then we had 10 ticks here, gets to 21. Huh. I didn't add that in, whatever that was. And then, okay, I guess I did. The stop out's what I don't have in here. Okay, that's a +5. The stop out, I stopped out in here somewhere. I don't know where. Might have been right here. This is a possible place for a stop out. I stopped out minus 15 ticks after. I think this looks like a good spot for it right there. It would have gapped up, but I probably didn't get a good fill, and then it came right back down and stopped out. Something like that, anyway. But I did stop out. We went from plus 21 down to 6, and then we got 5 more to go to 11. And during the break, let's see, looking for midpoints that are flat with a down close, something like that. That would have been a trade right there. That would have stopped out. These stop outs, that would have been a stop out a little more than to the tick. This would have been a stop out, maybe a stop out to the tick. And looking for more trades. This would have been a trade right here. That would have been a profitable trade. And that's it. So after the morning session, not a lot of opportunity on that. The ES now, we ended up with one more at the end. Plus 1 tick on the ES. I don't know if I drew in that last one. I guess I did. Maybe right there. I think I did. All right. On the ES, we started out right here. Our first trade on the ES was a +1. I'm sorry, it was a +8. We had 8 ticks on the ES right there. Well, that's not where we got the goal for the day, though. We got the goal for the day on the NQ. We'll get to that in a minute. But right here, we were at +8, and then I accidentally took a trade right here. I didn't do the math right, and I ended up long when I didn't mean to be long. It wasn't an actual trade setup. I don't know. I was looking for the up close right here, and I had my buy stop limit order. 1 tick too close, and it filled me, and then it stopped me right out. So that was a -10. It put us at -2. And then we had a 1 tick trade there, got us to -1, and a 2 tick trade there, got us to +1. And that was where we ended up with the ES for the day. Now, was there another trade on the ES this afternoon? Nothing else on the ES today. So we got most of the trades that were available this morning. We had a pretty good day. We got most of it, not on the NQ. We missed a bunch on the NQ. But let's just go back to the beginning. The NQ is where we got the goal for the day. Okay, and we'll go back to the very beginning. See, I was drawing stuff in there, talking and drawing, and here's the beginning of the day. All right, so our first trade here on the NQ, we picked up 9 ticks. All right, our next trade was right here. This is where we got the goal for the day. We picked up 45 ticks on that. Oh, sorry, we picked up 45 ticks on that. That got us to 54. That is where we got the goal for the day. Then on the very next trade, we picked up another 45, got us to 99. Then we got 4, got us to 103. And then 4 more to 107. And somewhere in here we had 4 more right here, I think. Oh, it wasn't there. Somewhere in here we had 4 more that got us up to 111, and then we stopped out, put us down to 86. Then we went from 86 up to 131, and then right here I think went from 131 up to 135, 135 up to 147, 147 up to 151, I think, 151 to 163, 163 to 195, 195 to 219. And then we stopped out. I thought that was our last trade of the morning, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. 219 to 194. And then 194 up to 210. And this was our last trade. Not of the morning. We ended up taking 2 other trades. I only counted one of them, though. We had an ES trade and a Russell trade. The ES trade gave us 2 ticks, or 1 tick, 2 ticks. And the Russell trade, I think, gave us 10, but I didn't count the Russell trade. But this was our last trade on the NQ. At this point right here, we're at 210, and we stopped out. That put us at 185. Now, during the break, again, we're looking for flat spots where price crosses through. Right there. That was a good trade on the NQ. This was a good trade on the NQ. So you had 2 wins so far. This was a trade right there. Would have been a break even. This was a trade right there. Would have been profitable. That, I can't tell if that was on. No, that was on. So that would have been a trade right there. That would have been okay. Would have been a profitable trade. That's nothing. Now we're in the red. That's nothing. That would have been a trade right there. Been profitable. That would have been a trade right there. Profitable. Didn't make it into the oversold, so you skip the next one. And that brings you all the way over here. Over here currently, if we were to get an up close, it would be at 74. So that's not going to be high enough. 74.25 is where the midpoint is. See, it's below the midpoint right there. It's not high enough to take the trade. You want it to be on or above the midpoint. You don't want to take these ones that are right below it because the midpoint will often act as resistance. Okay, it didn't in this case, but it often will. So you want it to be on or above it for the long trade, or on or below it for the short trade, right? All right. So let's go back here one more time and say, if you have not taken a free trial, if you start it today, take the trial today, you'll have it all weekend, and then you'll be able to work with it all week next week too. All right. Click the purple button. No credit card required. It's going to bring the registration page. Just fill it out. Just fill it out. Okay. The results so far today, we're at $1,202.50. We're actually better than that. And now we'll see if we get any more opportunity. Right here on the gold, we need a down close. The top of the bar is 89.5, so we sell on 88.5 on that. Looks like this on the dollar. Okay. And that's the only thing we have right now. All right, so as long as the top stays where it is at 89.5, then the down close will be right here at 88.6, and we'll sell that. Okay. Looks like the top's going to move up a little bit, and it did. So the bottom is going to be at 88.7, so we'll sell a down close. There's no trade here on the S because coming out of the overbought right here, it never made it into the oversold, so there's going to be no trade there. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Any of you guys? Any questions? Anybody? Okay. Now we're getting away from it here. It's got a high of 90.2. That's too far away. It's got a high of 90.5. If you're more than 1 bar length away from the midpoint, it's too far away. And we are now more than 1 bar length away from the midpoint. So it's too far away. See how I just flipped to YVR, so now you're looking for long trades instead of shorts anyway. This is not a trade here on the Russell because we didn't make it into the overbought on the last pull. And this is not a trade on the S, same reason. We could have a trade here on the NQ. This is actually it's too low. You're more than one bar length away from the midpoint, so it's not going to happen. All right, 68.75. And the midpoint's at 74, 75, 25, 75. It's going to be one tick below the midpoint on the up close. It's not going to be good. Okay. Skip that. Wait for the easy and obvious trade. Right? It will happen. We'll get the easy and obvious trade here. Just a minute or two, probably. All right, so on the NQ, we now have flipped the YBR down, so we're looking for a pullback up here. On the S, we're still looking for the pullback. We did get into the oversold here and here. We didn't get there yet on the Russell, so we don't have anything on the Russell. On the gold, it needs to get into the oversold and come out of it. So you down close on this bar and then up close on the bar after that. Right, but it has to hit the midpoint. And on the NQ, we need an up close on this bar will put us into the overbought. Oops, almost. An up close on the next bar will put us into the overbought and hit the ribbon. So the next bar could actually hit the ribbon and give a down close and be a trade. It's possible. No, it's not gonna. It's got to close up. Got to get into the overbought. It's got to get. That was really unlikely. Okay. All right, it is 1:17, so we have about 13 minutes left. And I don't know what we're going to get here for trades, guys. The gold is getting really thin. See all this? Gold is getting really thin. All right. So not a trade yet. We need to get into the oversold and come back out of it. We are in the oversold now on the ES, but we need to come out of that and get back into it. Nothing here. Nothing there. We almost have a trade over here on gold right now. We're oversold. This bar could tap the midpoint and close up, and that would be a trade. Still nothing here on the Russell. Still nothing here on the ES. And still nothing here on the NQ. Okay, let's go take a peek out here. So we're not too far off the high of the day here on the daily on the ES. One more and see how we're doing here. We had a high here of 40.90 on this guy. 40.90. It's pulling back right now. We'll see how it recovers by the end of the day. On the end of the New York session anyway. Okay, you see the gold has hit the midpoint there. So let's put this on the way that it should be. All right, on the gold right now. Put my DOM over here so we can all watch it. All right, the bottom of this bar right now is at, oops, so we can watch it. The bottom of this bar right now is at 40.90. So I'm going to buy 40.91 like that. Buy stop limit. 10 ticks above the bottom of the bar. It's 10 ticks because these are 9-tick range bars. The bottom of this bar, it just went down a little bit more. The bottom of the bar is 89.9. So the top of the bar will be right here at 90.8. Right? 9 ticks above the bottom. Now it's gone down even more. The bottom is at 9.2. So I'll be buying there. I'm sorry, the bottom is at 89.2. Now, if it gets down below 89.0, this is going to disqualify the trade. It just did 88.9. The reason that disqualified the trade, I'm going to cancel this right now, okay? The reason that disqualified the trade is because 9 ticks above that is going to be right here, below the midpoint. You don't want to take a long trade below the midpoint, right? You want the long trade to close on or above the midpoint. It's not going to happen on this bar. Right, we almost have a trade over here on the NQ. It hasn't hit the midpoint yet. If this bar closes down, it's going to reset the midpoint. It's going to mess everything up. If it closes up, however, we'll have a trade on the next bar. There it is. Okay, so we have a trade if the next bar closes down. If this bar closes down right now, we'll have a trade here on the NQ. So that's 5 points from the top of the bar. The top of the bar is at 68.50, so I want to sell 63.50. This is what it looks like on the DOM. Sell stop limit at 63.50. Now let me make sure this window is going to be on top. It is. So as long as the top stays at 68.50, then the bottom is going to be right here at 63.75. So if we get a down close, it's going to pull this out of the overbought and trigger us in somewhere around here at 63.50. Okay, this is a sell stop limit order right here. So we'll see if it comes together the way we want it to. If it does, it should go down here to 55.25. Should go all the way down to 55.25. And if we get filled, we'll move our stop to break even after 10 ticks of profit. Okay, it's pretty close. There it is. It just filled us, and we're in. Now it needs to go 10 ticks into profit. That is going to be down here at 61.25. Okay, has a 25 tick stop on it, and if it drops down to 61.25, I'll move the stop to break even. Okay, that is what we need to do. Randy, are you in here right now, Randy P? We're not in here right now. Okay. Oops, it just stopped us out. All right, so minus 25 ticks. Minus 25 on that one. It never went into profit, really. Like 2 ticks into profit. Okay. Nothing here. Nothing anywhere right now. All right, so looking across the markets right here. Now the gold didn't make it into the overbought right here. Joan, are you in here right now? You are in here. See how it got wonky right there? You asked about this morning. It didn't make it into the overbought, so there's no trade here, right? Anytime it comes out of the oversold right now with a green background, it means nothing until it gets into the overbought. Okay, you had asked about that this morning. There it is in real time. Same thing over here. It would have been the same thing. All right. So we have now on the NQ, we flipped the YBR over, so we're looking for a pull back down to the midpoint and bounce off of it. We're about to flip the YBR on the S, I think. And the Russell's really got nothing here. It's got to get into the oversold. And the gold just got into the overbought. So we can now look for trades again on the gold. Now that it's got into the overbought here. Ideally, you'd want to see an up close on this bar, then a down close on the next one, a down close on the one after that, then an up close on the one after that. So you see, because these are range bars, you can look out 4 bars ahead like that. and see what you want the market to do to give you a trade setup. Right? Because you know how big every bar is going to be. We're in the oversold. Now it's nowhere near the midpoint, so you're not going to have a trade there. We're below the midpoint here. We're not in the oversold yet, so we need to down close on this bar and up close on the bar right after. Okay, we're almost there. We could actually hit the midpoint on this and get an up close. So if we did hit the midpoint on this NQ trade, it would be a trigger if we got an up close. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Okay, now it just needs the up close. Didn't get the up close. If this closes down, you're not going to have a trade here. However, if it closes up, you will have a trade. So it'd be 65 up to 70 is what you'd be buying on that. You'd be buying 70 and up close at 70 right now. Okay, and this is what it looks like on the DOM. If it goes down one more tick, or if it closes down like that, there's no trade. Just hit cancel all on that. Right, the reason it's no trade is because it's not going to be above the midpoint. It's not going to be on or above the midpoint on the up close. Okay. We need a down close over here on the gold to get that into the oversold, and then an up close to give us a trade. Down close on the Russell, followed by an up close. We're in the oversold on the ES, but it's too far away from the midpoint to give us a trade. We're just not going to have anything there. Okay. We only have a few minutes left in here, guys. A few minutes to wrap it all up. Right, this did not turn into anything here. We don't have anything there. We don't have anything there. We don't have anything here. All right. We just don't have any trades. We have about 2 minutes left. The NQ is the closest thing we have to a trade right now. It's in the overbought. We need an up close on this bar, and then the next one after that could give a wick touching it, and then a down close. If we get a down close on this, it's going to be no trade on the NQ. Then the ES will be the closest one to a trade. You guys see all that? You can see it ahead of time, right? If this bar closes up, we're going to go sideways here. And then the next bar could hit the midpoint and give a down close. So there's a chance that on the next bar we'll have a trade here. If it closes down, it's going to take this out of the midpoint. And that messes everything up because then you're going to need another down close to get into the oversold, and then 2 up closes to get it into the overbought, and then another down close to get it out of the overbought. See, it's never been this easy, this predictable, really. And if it gives us what we want, we'll be ready for it. We know exactly what we need. And if the market gives it to us, well, we'll be ready for it. If it doesn't, well, then we'll just shut it all off and come back on Monday or Sunday night. Okay, so there's the first part. We got the up close right there. Now you could have a wick that hits it and gives us a down close. I don't think that's going to happen though. 65 is going to go up to 70. No, that's too high. An up close on this, you need an up close on this, and then the one after that could give you a trade. Yeah, but we're running out of time, so I'll just wrap it up by saying this. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button. When you do, you will be sent to, you click on that purple button, I'm sorry. When you click on that purple button, you'll be sent to this registration page. Just fill out the page, right? Fill out that page. And when you fill out that page, down at the bottom, make sure you give us your TradingView login ID, and we'll get your indicators indicating for you on your desktop. Now, do this today, and you'll have it all weekend, the rest of today, all weekend, and all of next week, right? To make your decision if this is what you want to do. Better markets to trade this time of the day. You could trade the same markets just on smaller time frames, Joan. Usually around noon, it's not this bad. Usually it's pretty active right about now. At this time, usually we get more trades. But no, of the active markets, these are probably the most active markets that you're going to see at this time of the day. You could look at the YM maybe. But smaller time frames would give you more activity. Okay. All right. Well, that's it, guys. With that, let me just show you before I pass it back out to Dwayne, Fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. Let me just show you a smaller time frame here. We'll drop down to an 11 range, okay, on the NQ. So on an 11 range, you're going to be buying or selling 3 points from the top or bottom of the bar. And you see there's going to be more activity in here. There's going to be more trades. It doesn't mean there'll be better trades, but there'll be more trades, probably. Here's one right here. There's not a lot more trades considering we just dropped it down quite a bit. That's not one. This one right here would be a trade. That would be a trade. That would be a trade. See, with this though, on an 11 range, you're probably going to risk around 16 ticks. Okay, and have a target of about 32. Okay, the 11 range is 1 tick less than 12. So when you're going to put your order on, when you see it setting up, you say, okay, the high of the bar is, the high of this bar is 63.75. I'd be selling 3 points less than that, so I'd be selling 60.75. Right, this bar right here, the high of the bar is now 60.75.50. I'd be selling 72.50, 3 points if you go to the 11 range. Okay. All right. Now, really, I'm going to pass it back out to Fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. I run over by 2 minutes on a Friday afternoon. It's sinful. Sorry about that.
No problem. All right. Recap of the morning session.
Today, it took 7 minutes and 3 trades to get to $2,700.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. We covered all the markets except silver. And silver's gone sideways. It's the one market, I think, that didn't touch either the long or the short target. Now, we've got a pretty good move up on silver this week. This is back to last Friday. And what was this low down here? 36.38 at 37.38. That's worth $5,000 per contract traded. And then at 38.38, that's another $5,000 per contract traded. And we didn't break 39. So we did take out yesterday's high. This was the open last night. We ran up and we just barely took out yesterday's high. No, did we? No, Come on. Yeah, we took the high here. What was it? 38.76. 38.78. So yeah, we took it out by 2.5 cents. But when we break a high, a previous high or low by just a little bit, we're often suspicious of that. In fact, we're always suspicious of it. It's like somebody needed to prove a point, and once their point was proven, now look at the step line. It crossed blue and climbing, and what happens? Price comes back to the BBC, where we consolidate for hours, and then off the London Open, we made a good attempt at hitting the long target. This candle right here. This is off the London Open. We opened at 38.58 and ran up to 38.77.5. So basically $500 per contract traded in that 130-minute candle right there. A $1 move in silver is worth $5 grand. $1 move in gold is worth $100. A $1 move in crude is worth $1,000. Looks like we're going to kind of just waddle sideways into the close on silver. Now, we covered all the other markets in granular detail. If you missed it and you want to see it, 30 minutes to an hour after I sign off here, in just a few minutes, go to youtube.com/CFRN, and you can watch the entire broadcast in its entirety. In fact, on our YouTube channel, there's over 3,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And ES just kind of seems to be stalled out. And here's yesterday's high, which again, that was, let's see how that got slapped down so quick. I pointed it out earlier, but right here, the black step line crossed blue and climbing, and we dropped all the way to the weekly zone below, support. We went from resistance at the zone to support at the zone. And we've had a leg, a retracement, a leg, a retracement, a leg, a retracement. And blue and climbing is now directly above price. And the step line is crossed. This may be the high of the session. If we move any higher, 64.17 is potential resistance. And then the zone, and then the highest weekly zone is still up above. So I don't think we'll be seeing that today. The new zones will come out Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. All the alerts that go out this coming Sunday night will be based on this week's zones. Then once the new zones are released, published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern, then every alert that goes out the remainder of the week, all next week, will be based on the new zones. So if you're a member or on the trial, you've got plenty of time to get the zones on your charts before Wall Street even wakes up for the week. Price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. The pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. Here and here, 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 here. Then we finally traded through, found support at the zone. That bounced us all the way back up to the long target. This was an all-time historic high for gold right here. So there you have it. It's our high again today, 16. Yesterday was 26. So we're still 10 3/4 points off yesterday's high, and the all-time historic high is at 64.68 half. It's going to be very interesting to see if the institutional traders are willing to take these long positions home over the weekend. Now, this thing sold off hard yesterday, pretty early on. When the step line crossed, it was only 7 in the morning. Okay, so while we haven't taken out yesterday's high, we've stayed above the VVC the entire session. Well, it had one little candle right here below it. Each pullback hill. Okay, all right. So Sunday night, we'll be watching this high as potential resistance if we don't take it out today. And then right here, 64.17. 16, yeah, 17. Now, right here, we called this a few days ago, 64.20, as good resistance. We spiked it by 7 points yesterday, or 6 points, 6 3/4 points. Where blue turned to red. Expected that to be good resistance, and it basically was. Now we're going up to challenge that area again, possibly. But in order for that to happen, we got to overcome this high, and right here. That's that 64.17 I was talking about. That is potentially good resistance. But if we get through that, in the zone, and then the high of yesterday. Okay, that's enough. To become a member, send an email to support@cfrn.net. Let Valerie know that you have made the decision to become a member, that you would like to join. She will send you an email that explains everything it means to become a member. She'll include a link that you can click to make your payment and make it official. Once you do that, she'll send you a ton of stuff. Create a folder in your email client and put all the emails from her in that folder. It's a lot of information. You won't understand it all right away. You won't know why it's important or what even to do with it. You'll get the 24/20 blueprint. I mean, you'll just get a ton of stuff. Just put it all in that folder. And as time goes on, as you go through the learning process, okay? Remember, we're not here to teach you some magic trick, some parlor trick. We're here to actually teach you how to trade. So this is a process. You got to show up every day. You got to do the work. Okay? You got to learn the rules. And you got to learn how to follow the rules. We'll provide you with all the information you need. We'll provide you with all the tools you need. But what you have to bring to the table is patience and self-discipline. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. We provide that 2 hours every trading day. On top of the 2 hours of live interactive training every trading day, you have access to private one-on-one mentoring. All you have to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't really matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. This is why it's so critical that you learn how to read the chart so you know where to anticipate resistance and where to participate support. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock, and that's your tool right there to help you learn how to read the chart. You get the concierge trade alerts every evening the second they're published. I was late like you last night, but most days 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open, 5:55 p.m. Eastern. But not today, not tomorrow, Sunday. Every Thursday afternoon, you'll get an invitation to attend the members only workshop Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Every Monday morning, you'll get the new weekly trading zones at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They do not change. We've published them for our members now for 15.5 years. Last but not least, when you become a passport holder, you will get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. We have public channels for the folks on the trial, but once you become a member, then you have access to every channel. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, on a low price. It's a good deal. Checked. All right, let's wrap this week up with our good word for today. Yesterday we started the 5 crowns. Today's part 2. The second crown mentioned in Scripture is the crown of rejoicing. It's given to those who take part in leading others to Christ. The background for this passage is written about in Acts 17. Which tells the story of Paul arriving in the city of Thessalonica. He went into the synagogue and for 3 Sabbaths reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining that the Christ had to suffer and rise again from the dead, and saying, "This Jesus whom I preach to you is the Christ." Acts 17:2. Some of his hearers were converted, including a great multitude of devout Greeks and a number of prominent women. As a result, a church was built there. Writing to them later, Paul said that they would be his crown when Christ returned. We should all follow American evangelist Bill Bright's example. He was one of the best soul winners of the 20th century, and he once disclosed his secret. Although I have shared Christ personally with many thousands of people through the years, I am a rather reserved person, and I do not always find it easy to witness. But I have made this my practice, and I urge you to do the same. Assume that whenever you are alone with another person for more than a few moments, you are there by divine appointment to explain the love and forgiveness he or she can know through faith in Jesus Christ. When was the last time you shared the gospel with someone? Whenever you do, the Lord is fitting you for a crown of rejoicing. 1 Thessalonians 2:19. For what is our crown of rejoicing? Is it not even you in the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ at his coming? That's a good word for today and for the week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.